What do you think about the fact that Democrats, being led by President Obama, have embraced austerity? What do you think that that's caused by, and just what is your general opinion?
I don't know that they've embraced austerity so much. I mean, are you talking about Democrats as in the politicians that are?
Yes, yes, the
Okay,
politicians that are
okay.
pushing for cuts to Social Security.
Right. Yeah, the ones who aren't actually Democrats anymore.
Well, except I think,
They're corporatists.
but
I mean,
I think a lot of Democratic voters, especially in this last election, did wound up at least believing that a balanced approach to deficit reduction is something that we should do. Whether it's been backed up by much information or not is a whole other thing. But I think Democrats, particularly by the lead of the president, have, to some degree embraced that idea, even down to the rank and file, simply because it's just been said so many times.
I think in the last 4 years or so, more than ever, 4 to 6 years, we've been seeing a divide of liberals and Democrats more and more. Democrats are not synonymous with liberals. Liberals are not synonymous with Democrats because Democrats are not liberal anymore. The Democrats in office they're seeing to their corporate interests almost as much or as much as their Republican counterparts. They may take some more liberal social views on things, which is good, which is the reason that I tend to vote for them instead of voting for Republicans, which I'll never do. But in the end, they're not serving our interests either, and they're not serving the liberal or progressive agenda. They're serving the corporate agenda. And I'm more and more disappointed and disillusioned with them as years go by. And I think we really need to put a real effort into either taking the Democratic Party back for the liberal and progressive movement by electing people in there that actually give a damn and getting money out of politics so that our politicians are actually working for our people instead of corporations, or we need to form our own party. For instance, the Green Party would be a great platform for liberals and progressives, and actually have a liberal party in this country the way that it should be.
All right, I'm going to have to take that as your final thoughts. Like I said,
Yes,
we're
sir.
running out of time. Daniel, can we get your final thoughts on this one?
Yes, sir. For one, we're discussing the political parties, that my view of the current Democratic Party is very much what the Republican Party was throughout the 60s and the 70s, until the 80s when the Republican Party had to merge with fiscal and social fiscal conservatism, with merging from the party of the plutocrats, merging with the Jesus freaks. Currently, I think that the current Democratic Party pretty much is the moderate Republican Party of yore. If you look at where it's at now, it's both parties are the parties of Goldman Sachs, AIG, KBR, Halliburton, and Honeywell. Those are the two parties that we currently have. Just one has to listen to the fringes and adhere to the fringe element of the United States, and the other one does not. As far as this country, these politicians that are not come from aristocracy, that grew up in forms of meritocracy, it's become an ideological concept where these people tend to forget that it was taxing the rich by an insane amount of means is not going to solve the entire problem. But we always had oligarchs. We always had large sectors of wealth in this country, and until I want to say the Second World War, where you had Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and then you had Dwight D. Eisenhower, who saw the roads and the highway systems they had over in Nuremberg, Germany, and put this country to work by creating a new form of class. I think that these people forget where they came from, and I think that they stood on the shoulders of socialism, and then they spit on it 30 years later, 40 years later. And those are my final thoughts.
I think Daniel's turning British.
No, that's just, I can't hear myself through.
All right. Lucas, I want to get your final thoughts on this one.
Okay. Well, I guess, it takes me back a little bit to your previous question as far as Democrats embracing austerity, and I really view that as the largest single misstep of Obama's first term and possibly of his entire presidency, which was doing the stimulus and then immediately pivoting to austerity, which, if you believe in Keynesian economics and you believe that an economy does need stimulus, then you would also know that it's absurd to then immediately turn around and start cutting money out of the federal budget, because you're going to undo the positive effects of putting additional money into it. And basically, what he did in pivoting to austerity economics, which the president certainly did, was basically guarantee that he's going to have a lousy economy for the rest of his presidency. Because if he had been a full-throated Keynesian, he had explained to people why the government is not like a family and why we don't need to tighten our belts in a time of depression or slowdown, then any time that the economy is not doing as well as we would like, he can turn around and point to that and say, look, we needed a bigger stimulus, we needed a second stimulus, the Republicans wouldn't do it, vote them out, and if you vote enough Democrats in, we will do that stimulus, and you will see that is that's good for the economy. So basically, as far as Democrats endorsing it, they basically endorsed total Republican economic ideology, and it's the reason that we have such a shitty economy now. So the irony is that in trying to pursue this policy that is considered serious or whatever, they've actually really kind of screwed themselves politically, because they're not going to be able to have a strong, robust recovery. It's not going to happen. I'm willing to bet that when Barack Obama leaves office, the economy it's not going to be a great economy. It's going to be better than it was, when he came in, for sure. But it's still going to be underperforming, for sure. And so that's my feeling on that, is that he screwed himself over, he screwed all of us over, and he wed the Democratic Party to a losing ideology. And now, basically you have both parties professing the same economic outlook, and that's why we don't have any answers anywhere, because both people are offering us the same, leeches, non-useful medicine.
Well said. And, to add to that, I think that when Barack Obama ends his presidency and the Republicans start trying to go for 2016, you better believe that they're going to use the poor economy as a political cudgel to hit the Democrats again. Oh, look at that failed liberal economics. The economy still sucks. We need more of Republican economics. We need more austerity, because that is where President Obama didn't go far enough.
Right, and that's the really terrible kind of pairing of Obama being characterized as such a lefty president when he is absolutely not. He's a very conservative president, but he's characterized as being a big spending kind of, liberal socialist. So all of the failures of these policies are being ascribed to democratic liberal ideas, when in fact they're all conservative ideas that are producing these. So he's damaging the political discourse and the ability to solve these problems for a lot further into the future.
Absolutely. He's making liberals look bad.
Well, and he's making liberal options, which are actually, useful tools in situations like this. They're not going to be something that the American people think work. And again, right. It's a triumph of marketing over actual reality, but that is what, the net result's going to be.
All right. Excellent. Great discussion. I just want to give my final thoughts on this. I think that it's kind of ironic that the entire austerity fight has been based on faulty logic, going back to the Reinhardt-Rogoff study as well. It's faulty logic and an Excel error. It's delicious irony, I think, especially when you can look to Europe for the proof that austerity does not work. However, I personally don't think that this study being done will deter our politicians from trying to continue more austerity measures. Because austerity doesn't work for us. It works for somebody else. It works for the wealthy. It works for the 1% because as budgets are slashed and federal departments have either been defunded or even privatized, large corporations such as Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and others have seen their regulations disappear. They have loosened because the agencies responsible for regulating them have been defunded. Deregulation has saved businesses billions of dollars, and the shredding of the safety net has seen many families flocking to low-wage jobs. These low-wage jobs, like at Walmart, don't sustain the family. However, they enrich the corporate CEOs. So, austerity, in the end, austerity is cruel. It doesn't work, and it punishes so many people for the debts of so few. And that, I think, fundamentally, is just wrong, and we need to do something about it. And those are my thoughts.